Hey guys, it's Jonah here, and I'm doing an extra special review because I might not be around after this. Yeah, I might not be around. God, wow, this might be the last review I ever do, but fingers crossed it will be just a pause in normal function. Hey, see how things go. However, I thought I would save a good one for last, and it's Easter as well, so Shamon. And this beer is a collaboration between two places that are really cool, and indeed two Andys that are really cool. And hopefully, I can call, well, hopefully at least one of them, and probably two of them, friends. They're both my friends on Facebook, but does that mean friends? I don't know. But anyway, I'll call them friends for now. So hey, Andy and Andy. The first one is Andy from the Royston, which is by far my local pub. And I'm still, I think, the top reviewer for beers on Untapped in the Royston. If you're not on Untapped, please join up. It's quite fun. And please feel free of connecting with me, and you'll see a ridiculous amount of beers that I drink. But yeah, and oh, let me think. Have a look at this picture. That's Andy at the Royston amongst a lot of other friends, including myself and a few other good buddies. Some of them you might recognise, some of them might be watching this video. And if you're watching, hey guys, good to see you, especially Graham. Um, yeah, we're going through similar things, so good luck with you, buddy. And yeah, I'll see you on the other side, if you know what I mean. The other guy is the co-writer of this book, which is Andy Parker. I'd love to say I've met Jamil. He's one of my friends on Facebook from when I used to do home brewing back in the day. But I've definitely met Andy Parker. To Jonna, happy brewing, it says. And if you haven't got this book already, it's a camera book. It's fantastic. It does loads of good stuff about brewing, whether it's home brewing. I guess you can do, yeah, you can do all sorts of brewing. I'm flicking through because he has given recipe of his most famous beer, which is this one, Oregon Trail. But that's not the beer we're doing. So yeah, quick, if you want to see the recipe, there it is. Or go out and buy the book yourself, you lazy so-and-sos. Yeah, here's a picture of me and Andy. So I have actually met that Andy as well. And like I say, yeah, we had a bit of a chat. I was a bit drunk and we were doing some beer judging at the time. And beer judging and memories kind of get a bit hazy, shall we say. But anyway, yes, I got this beer. I picked this beer up on Friday. It's called Jetpug, and the Royston, if you don't know, there he is. It's not going to focus on him. Put it in front of my face and maybe it'll focus. Come on, dude. Focus. Focus on the pug. It's not going to do it, is it? Oh my god. Oh, there we go. And the Royston, they're very much pug people, which is kind of cool. And it is a West Coast pale ale. Doesn't say IPA, it just says pale ale, 5.6. Probably could have called it an IPA, but I'm kind of glad they didn't. And hopefully, ding, ding, ding. Is it going to focus? Yes, it is. There we go. So it says, our friends from the Royston joined us to collaborate on this deliciously piney and fruity West Coast pale. We used super fresh Simcoe and then hitting Simcoe Cryo and Idaho 7. Wow. Expect this beer to be bright, clean, and crisp with a bitter finish. Shamon, let us see. We have got, yeah, we've only got barley in there. So, yeah, not a sausage. So this is going to be more, obviously it's called West Coast, but this is definitely in the more old school style, which I know Andy P, well, Andy Smith likes it as well. But they both like the West Coast style, hence why they brewed this particular beer. So, Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to enjoy this because I enjoyed both of those guys. Um, yeah, like I say, I picked it up on Friday, Good Friday, but I was quite drunk and I was recovering a bit yesterday. I should have done the review yesterday. Sorry, I didn't, guys, but I'm still pretty sure this is the first, yeah, the first review on YouTube for this particular beer. I think it actually got released on Thursday, or that's when the first Untapped review came out on Thursday, and then you could pick it up if you went to Elusive, obviously Good Friday. But I haven't seen anyone actually do a video review of this bad boy yet. So you're getting an exclusive once again from Jonah, which is absolutely cool. So thank you very much. Yeah, Andy from the Royston, both of you Andys, but yeah, Andy from the Royston, he could see I was a bit kind of bit upset on Good Friday. Had a fair few beers, but I've kind of got a lot of going on, and yeah, there was a tear in my eye, and he actually goes, right, I've got something for you. So thank you very much, dude. Look at that. I wouldn't call it crystal clear, but that is definitely clearer than some other beers that I have had lately. Um, Thin head, let's say that's kind of a half a finger's head. Lovely white fluffy clouds. Don't know the exact malt bill on here, although I could probably find out, but you know, I'm sure it's pretty traditional West Coast. You're going to have some or the equivalent in the UK. Yeah, it's going to have some crystal in there. I imagine a little crystal in there. It's not too dark though. The colour is not the darkest I've seen for a West Coast beer, but yeah, you're going to have a bit of a mix of two row or equivalent from the UK, and then a touch of crystal. Because of the colour, maybe crystal 60, I'd say, and it's not that bad. Interesting things are going on the nose. That Idaho 7, that is a sneaky hop to chuck in there. Because it gives me that kind of really fresh, light kind of thing. Sometimes I get a touch of kind of coconutty nut um, in here. Also, you get a tiny little bit of that kind of minty thing, that kind of fresh. I wouldn't say it's hops, but it's that kind of fresh aroma. I can definitely get that. And the Simcoe in there, even though it's a Simcoe cryo product, which is really interesting because that's essentially an extracted version of Simcoe. So you are getting a bit of that kind of orange, kind of citrus thing going on. Hmm. Weirdly, they're saying that they used, well, on the label it says the Simcoe hop side. And what that means is basically they're using that for bittering. And Simcoe is one of those hops. There are a few of them around that you can use both for bittering and aroma and flavour and that kind of stuff. So theoretically, Simcoe is one of those hops that you can make quite a good single hopped beer, but they haven't done this here. Obviously, they've used Simcoe hops, they've used the Simcoe cryo, but then just a wee sprinkling, and I imagine it's not that much of Idaho 7 um, in the whirlpool or late for dry hopping in there. Yeah, it does say dry hopped as well. Anyway, oh, this is going to be good. So, cheers and beers to the two Andys. Thank you very much, yeah, for making my life more interesting and all that kind of stuff. Cheers and beers to you all, and happy Easter to everyone else. Well, happy Easter to the two Andys as well. Hopefully, everything goes well for you. Ooh, okay, that's really interesting. So, lots of different layers there. As I was drinking, there was a really nice bitterness, but a kind of orange hop bitterness. As soon as I swallowed, I was hit with a bit more kind of green hop. And I'm imagining That's probably a combination of the Idaho 7 and potentially, yeah, the Simcoe Cryo hop. Um, but then, as soon as that came, I was awashed more with that kind of juicy Simcoe thing. Um, that is very, yeah, it's attached so much to the Simcoe hop. It kind of washes your palate. It's quite a bitter hop, or it is if you concentrate it and bung a shed load in. But what it tends to do is it gives you that orange kind of citrus orange thing really up front, and then the kind of juiciness of that hop washes your palate along with the bitterness. Um, the finish is, yeah, I'd say the finish is quite short. I mean, there is a little bit of kind of vegetal stuff even now, but the actual hoppage, which you'd assume for it to be quite a long bitter finish. Um, it even says on here, it says bitter finish, but I think that's a short bitter finish as opposed to like a long lingering finish. Is kind of what they mean. So it kind of is stacked, I would say, up front, hits you with orange, hits you with that lovely juiciness. Um, there's a little bit of sweetness there, but because I think there's quite a lot of hops in it, and it's a reasonably strong beer. It's over 5, isn't it? So for a pale ale, let's have a look. 5.6, which could be in IPA territory. And if this was put into a competition, believe it or not, this would be judged, I reckon, the IPA category over the pale ale category. I know, I know. You don't have to tell me. I know. Um, but yeah, this is all about that Simcoe hop. Cheers. Let's dive into some more. Oh, yep. So again, as you're drinking lots of orange, then it descends into kind of more, I would say, kind of more generic-y kind of green hop, and then you get that flush through. I can even feel it now with my mouth kind of. What happens is it creates the saliva, and then as you swallow in your mouth, it kind of washes your whole palate through, which is really nice. One thing that I would say though is because it's quite heavily hopped at the beginning, um, what happens in your mouth and in your senses is the synapses on your taste buds fire, and they go, yeah, oh my god, it's hoppy, boom, 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 and they send these messages to your brain. So up front, really front loaded with boom, 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 and then your second, yeah, your second taste, your second quaff of your beer, should we say, it's slightly less so because it takes a while for those synapses to kind of reset. And then sometimes what happens, especially if you're a talker like me, as you well know, dear viewer, um, is they reset themselves. So sometimes by the time you get to the bottom of your beer, your glass, um, your synapses, your hop synapses fire a second time, and you're like, oh wow, boom, there it's got really hoppy again. And sometimes that's not a true reflection of the beer itself, um, but the way your body and your brain, the interconnection works. Um, yeah, I don't know. Is that the best way of putting it? Who knows? When I write a book, and hopefully I will do one day, and maybe camera pick it up like this one. I think this is actually Andy's second book that he's written, if I remember. There'll be a little bit of sensory involvement there because obviously I'm a beer judge and I'm a trainer as well now. Don't forget. So yeah, I'm more into the kind of sensory thing as over when I used to be a home brewer, and at heart I'm still a home brewer. So don't forget that, Andy P. If you're watching this, hopefully you will be. Um, yeah, I'm kind of more into my sensory experience now in this place of my life than I was when I was doing the brewing and I was more involved in the kind of recipe building and the kind of science part. And that's good fun as well. Um, yeah, I believe Andy from the Royston took, well, if you look at the photos, if you go onto the Royston's Facebook page or Instagram or whatever they use these days, you'll find very soon pictures of the brew day that they had at Elusive, and Andy's on there as well. So it looked like they had a really good time. They did actually tell me about it a couple of months ago, and yeah, I never re-asked, so maybe I could have gone along and had some fun, but never mind, never mind. I'm just glad to be drinking the beer. And this is in the can, this one at the moment, but I very much suspect that there will be casks of this available as well, and I'm sure the Royston do have one. And they also told me that when they did, and this isn't a sneak peek because they mentioned this on their handle on their Facebook site, I think. Um, and Andy definitely told me that there is a second beer that is a very small batch that might only be available in keg, which is a bit more of a dark beer, if I remember rightly. So I'm really looking forward to having that as well. Obviously, this is canned. I think this is, well, they brewed it, I think, yeah, not that long ago. So this is probably a month, maybe. And in the can, it's probably only a couple of weeks in the can. So I would say, for those of you that haven't had this yet, don't panic because um, yeah, some beers they develop better in the can. It's not can conditioned, as it were, but sometimes that freshness, that greenness, kind of dissipates a little bit in the beer. And this is not a verdant beer at all, but I think it will develop. So if you get this at about a month old, maybe 6 weeks old, it'll have enough time to kind of settle down and be better, I reckon. Who knows? I'm really enjoying this. Oh, the other thing I should say, I know this video is going on a little bit, is yeah, I listened to a podcast that Andy Elusive Andy, did maybe about 6 months ago. It was last year, I think. And it was on the craft, what's it called? A Week in Craft Beer podcast. Which I don't always agree with everything that the guy, absolutely terrible. I think is it Richard? I can't remember the guy's name. I'm awful with names. I forget my own name sometimes. Um, but yeah, it was quite interesting that they were talking about things that I have also said. Um, and yeah, it was really, really interesting what they were saying. One of the things being lagering. Um, and Andy in fact, he said something really interesting that if I meet him again and I remember and I haven't had enough to drink, let me have another sip and I'll tell you, dear viewer. Mm, that is really good. That is a really nice beer. I reckon on cask, once it's had a time to meld together a little bit, that'll be even better because there's a little bit of separation there. And I'm sure that's the separation between the Simcoe and the Idaho 7. As they kind of, as it ages a little bit and it merges together more, it's going to be a good beer. I'm going to enjoy this. Anyway, yeah, lagering, they were talking. This is something I was talking about with regards to craft beer in inverted commas, whatever the fuck that means. Apologies for swearing, but I really do think this is important. Craft brewers, especially, and lagering do not always go together because, especially the smaller craft brewers, and I guess Elusive is getting bigger because they're expanding all the time. But Andy P said something really interesting about lagering. He could only really give 6 weeks maximum for lagering. Um, and for me, that's not quite long enough. Sorry for saying that, but that's what I think. Um, but he did say something really, really interesting um, with I think it was a Lallemand yeast. He was saying um, is more clean. It finishes cleaner. So a lager potentially, because of the yeast that they're using, needs less time for lagering. And I thought that was really interesting. And I do know that Andy is really into temperature control, which is absolutely fantastic. And in fact, he says it. There's a chapter, I think, or at least a section in this very book here about temperature control and talking about how as soon as your beer has fermented, drop the temperature down a lot. And pardon me, quite well carbonated, this beer, although there's not a huge amount of bubbles in there, but it's all inside the beer, isn't it? Obviously. But yeah, drop the temperature a lot, which helps with clarity, obviously. But if the yeast is finished, it's going to drop the yeast out, and obviously that helps clean things out. But there are less sulfur compounds, I think he was talking about in particular, which obviously is a problem a little bit with lagering. And if you've had a really fresh lager, you get that kind of eggy sulfur dioxide kind of smell. That's a byproduct, obviously, of the yeast acting on the beer. So it's really, I was really impressed. I hadn't really thought about it too much, but it's obvious that his brain is. I mean, he's a head brewer. What can we say? But his brain is kind of in that sphere. However, dude, and all you other craft beer breweries that are watching this, like of course you are, yeah, please take that extra time. I know, you've got to make use of the space that you have, and you can't have things lagering for loads of time. But in the craft, in inverted commas again, the craft artisan lager brewing history, it does need that little bit more time, in my humble opinion. But who am I? Just someone that drinks beer and waxes lyrical. Right, well, we're over 20 minutes. I knew this was going to be a long one because I'm really passionate about beer, and yeah, it might be a while before I do another video. So let me finish this off. Wish you well, and you guys can be on your way. There is, I tell you what, there is a tiny bit of residual sweetness there, which really does make me think that there's some crystal malt in there, and that wouldn't be surprised at all because of the recipe. But there we go. That is Unclejona's review on Jetpug, the West Coast Pale Ale, collaboration from Elusive and my local, the Royston pub. Fantastic. I really hope that this is the first review on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it will be because this is still quite an exclusive beer. Unless you've popped down to Elusive and picked out a beer that you're like, what? Who are those guys? Who's the Royston? Well, we don't know anything about it. But let me tell you, this is one of the first beers that have been cracked open from the Royston supply, which is where I got them from Andy. The most legendary bar manager in Thanet in Broadstairs. Guys, this has been Unclejonah. Happy Easter to you all. Remember, please tell the ones that you love that you do love them, because you're never sure exactly how long you might have. And until the next time, there's another beer review coming up real soon.